So let's talk about the investing side. So one of the knocks on the old, now they call it ESG, but you guys still use the SRI designation because that's the way it was in the 90s. And so that's all changed somewhat. One of the knocks on SRI back in the day was, gee, you can't really perform as well. But that wasn't ever really proven. So have you ever looked at that and said, could we perform just as well as the broader market?
Sure. So a couple of things I would say, a lot of words get bandied about. You have impact investing, ESG investing, right, socially responsible investing. Like for impact investing, the way Bond and Devick looks at it, that's where you want to make change. That's where you want to take your money and you want to increase the number of affordable housing, or you want to increase the number of BIPOC business owners, that kind of thing, right? So you take, right, like for Bond and Devick, we invest clients' money in the Calvert Impact Note.
Okay.
And then Calvert takes that money and distributes it to CDFIs around the country, and that helps build, more local impact investing. ESG investing is just using non-financial factors as another way to look at a security to see if you want to buy it or not.
Right.
So in the SEC, it's just they're really excited about ESG right now, about making sure that there's no greenwashing going on and that kind of thing. But I'm not quite sure I understand, because when you use ESG investing, you're looking at non-financial factors, environmental, social, governance factors. And then you can use your own internal rating system. There's lots of other companies that provide their own ranking systems, right? And you use fundamental analysis, and then you add ESG analysis on top of it to make a decision. And so there's no tree hugging involved. It's just using a different set of factors to determine if that security should be purchased or not, in addition to fundamental analysis, right? Now, Bond and Devick uses a lot of ESG, but when we say values-based investing, that's the old school socially responsible investing.
Right. Okay.
And that's where ESG to some extent doesn't use negative screens. Sometimes they do. Like you can have an ESG fund that just uses ESG factors on top of fundamental analysis, and they will screen out for tobacco, firearms, whatever. And that's what we do at our end too, right? So when we give somebody that social responsible investment questionnaire, and they don't want to have fossil fuel, if they don't want to have a lot of things in there, that's where we have to sit down and say, look, I'm happy to align your values with your investments, but if you're going to exclude half of the investments that are available to you, that could have a potential impact on your returns. Mm-hmm. And they don't care. So, I mean, it's like, okay, people, I get pushback all the time on that. And I'm like, well, there are people who go to Kroger's because it's the cheapest beef you can buy. And then there are people who go to Whole Foods, right? Because Whole Foods,
right,
you buy beef and you can, the beef is treated the cows are treated in a better manner. They're organic, free range, organic, all that kind of stuff, right? So when people push back and say, well, how can some of your investors not want to get market returns? How are they willing to give that up? I'm like, well, it's the same people who don't go to Kroger's to get the cheapest eggs and the cheapest milk and the cheapest meat. They go to Whole Foods because their values are more aligned with Whole Foods, right?
Right.
And so if you don't understand how that makes sense or that concept works, then I just don't think you're certainly not a good fit for our firm.
Okay. So most often though, you'll have a client that might have one or two pet issues like tobacco and firearms.
Correct.
And then that's it, right? And they won't focus on organic food or animal testing or something like that, right? But if they want every hot button, that might be too much.
Well, we have a conversation around that. So Bond and Devick, all of our portfolios have an investment objective, and that investment objective is tied to CPI. So in our performance reports, we don't list what the Dow did. We don't list we don't list any index, right? All we list is CPI, because all of our portfolios are CPI plus something. So that's the difference for goals-based planning.
Right. Okay.
So that's weird. So you want your assets to last to 100. You want to make sure that you have $3 million left at age 100 so that your kids will inherit something, that kind of thing, right? So we work really hard to design portfolios to try to achieve that investment objective while taking as little risk as we can. And so if they can do that by getting a 5% return, well, then we will design portfolios to get a 5% return over the long run, right?
Okay.
So, but again, that doesn't work with everybody, right? Some clients, if the S&P goes up 30% and our portfolios go up 15, good for us because it was higher than 5, right? But a lot of people can't handle that. They can't handle being that far behind the markets. Even like our clients now who are trying to get a 5% return are pretty happy because they're not down,
Yeah.
they're not overexposed to the NASDAQ or